Fast, efficient and affordable business-grade hosting solutions, domain registration, SSL certificates and more. We also monitor and provide website security and update services, website builds, email hosting amongst other sensational products. If you have a question about your web page or your presence on the internet in general, no job is too big or too small. Visit our website today, or better yet, contact us at blueoceanwebhosting.com.au and leave your website issues to us.
Big ones, little ones, fiddly ones, powerful ones, the ones for the car or the truck, caravan, boat, mobility scooter, solar system. In fact, for any kind of battery, go straight to Battery Central Ipswich. They'll even help you when you know what you need to power, but have no idea what'll do the job. Battery Central Ipswich, 280 Brisbane Street, West Ipswich, behind the Yellow Building. Expert advice, better batteries, best prices, every day. That's Battery Central Ipswich.
Welcome to episode 738 of Aussie Tech Heads. I'm Jason Oakley and this is Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate.
The top 2 podcasters in Australia.
Don't you hate it when you click the button and the system goes, nah, not today?
Yeah.
No, really. Click the next screen. Nah, it's all fine. Come on, you can do it.
How's your people skills?
Ask me and find out.
They're just fine. Oh, Fig Jam.
It's my tolerance for idiots that's the problem.
Well, I'll just go now then, shall I?
Well, I sent you a link to this clothing company.
Yeah.
Some of the shirts they got on there are absolutely amazing. I'm going to buy a couple more just because.
And then Son sent me the link too.
Son, yeah. And they have some great stuff on there. I tell you. So going to get some more of them.
I need to get something. This thing's falling apart.
That's I'm going to wear the same shirt for 37 years. It eventually wears out.
Yeah, do that. How's you been? All right. We're all super locked down here.
Yeah, we haven't been in lockdown per se. We've just had restrictions that don't allow us to do anything.
Yep.
But that's not on lockdown.
We're not supposed to go anywhere, and if you see anyone having people visiting, the government says, if you like to dob them in, that would be pretty cool.
It's like that thing you see on Facebook all the time. If you want to report your company for using illegal software, you can do it here. And it's like, yes, can I please lose my job? And like, so dumb. The whole thing is so dumb. But
I'm actually going to escape tomorrow night. I'm going to cover somebody's show at the radio station. Haven't been there for a few months, so it should be interesting going back.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's been a while. You've forgotten what to have done.
Yeah. How do you Windows anyway? What even is computer?
Yeah, that's it. Random playlist.
Yeah.
Wait. No, not that playlist.
Facebook. Oh, wait, the news is due any second now. Whoops.
No, random playlist.
Yeah.
Don't need no stinking news.
I actually, probably for one of the first times in a while, do not have any new gadgets or on order or anything.
I got a heap and they're all sitting in random transit centres all over the country at this point. I had one the other day and I'm still waiting for it. It got sent from just below Tweed.
Yep.
And it went to Canberra Distribution Centre, then to Sydney, then to Melbourne Distribution Centre, then went back to Sydney, and then left Sydney Distribution Centre, went back to Sydney Distribution Centre. And I think it was the 4th or something of last month I ordered it.
Yep.
And the last trace was received at Sydney Distribution Centre 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Or a week ago. And it's like, huh? Lucky I paid for express post.
The only thing I'm waiting to be delivered is a carton of beer I got from Liquorland. I was like, if I'm not supposed to go there, they can damn well bring my grog here.
Yeah. But you see, they don't want you to do that now. They don't want you to order online either, because it makes too many people out and about. And it's like, well, hang on.
How's anything supposed to happen then?
It's like you don't want us to go anywhere, but then you don't want us to not go anywhere. What?
Yeah.
So
it's crazy world, mate.
It's screwed up, the whole lot of it. But what do? So,
Do what you gotta.
I mean, I got a few ideas, but I can't tell you about them because I'm banned on Facebook again.
Not again.
I think
You go for the world record of how many times somebody got banned on Facebook.
I'm pretty well hitting a 50-50 strike rate. I'm
Yeah.
on for a month, I'm off for a month. I'm on for a month, I'm off for a month. So it's but yeah, that's what happens. But yeah, no, there hasn't been a lot going on.
Not even much news to talk about.
No, in general, it's been quite, whether it's
We had a big rush of stuff when some people left Earth for a little bit. When's the next bloke going?
Oh, they're talking about. I was reading
Was it
something.
Musk going up next?
Yeah, apparently he's actually going to do a moonwalk. He reckons.
Oh,
Yeah.
like Michael Jackson. Holy crap, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like,
Is he going to Billy G?
I don't know if he's-
it's not my love.
I don't know if he's specified he's actually going to the moon or if he's just going to do a
He's just gonna
moonwalk.
do a in the Nevada desert. This is Coach Real, everyone, right?
Because he was saying something about, everyone's been to space now. There's nothing, that's boring. I got to actually go to the moon or something now. So
He's supposed to be going to Mars.
yeah, but isn't that for like another 10 years away or something?
I don't know. It's taking that long to get there or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not exactly an overnight trip.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Rocket Man?
Yep.
The comedy. It's so funny. And he gets out of space and the monkey ends up in his capsule so he can't go into hibernation.
Oh, right.
And so the entire trip he's awake.
Yeah.
And he's using all the he uses all the space food and like does the paintings and stuff on the roof, like the Sistine Chapel.
All right.
He recreates that on the top of the space station. He's like, they finally wake up. Like, I didn't use all the food. Here's like spinach and parsnip, and here's like anchovies and cheese. What are you talking about? There's plenty of food left.
What more do you need?
If you haven't seen that,
Don't think I did.
it's got that guy who does the stuff.
Yep. Jim Carrey.
Fred Randall.
Uh,
Fred Randall.
Don't know him.
You don't know Fred Randall? He's hilarious. But in this it's called Rocket Man. It's from 97-ish.
Yep.
It's a really funny movie. Like, there's some scenes in another one, for example, where he farts in the spacesuit, but one of the guys lost his O2 tank, lost his oxygen tank, so they're sharing a common common hose, and he farts in the spacesuit, and you see this bubble coming along the hose. And the other guy grabs the hose, and he's like,
No.
so yeah, it's a good for a laugh.
Yeah.
It's got some like actual good well-known people in it too.
Yeah.
So it's got William Sadler and Hartland Williams and Jessica Landy, and so it's got quite a few well-known people in it.
Ah.
But it's good and funny. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Every time I think that'd be my luck. Like if I was on the rocket to Mars, that's what had happened to me. My cryo would break down, and I'd be floating in space for the next, 3
You'd be
years,
like
7
Matt
years. what it
Damon,
is.
the Martian.
Matt Damon. I actually haven't seen
Orientators.
that yet.
What?
It's on my to watch list. It's just there.
I've seen it twice now.
It's sitting there with the bodyguard's wife or whatever it is, and
Oh yeah.
the man. they're all sitting in my playlist waiting for me to get at a time where the kid's not around to watch them.
Yeah.
So
Add it to the list.
yeah, exactly. If you want to hear a rendition of John Jingle Home Schmidt, it's in that too. It's in their. They do the isolation training to see if they're suitable to be isolated or not.
Yep.
And so they're all in their little cubicles, supposedly isolated from each other. And he thinks that he's literally like isolated. There's nobody around, so he starts bellowing, "John Jankum Jingle Home." And he starts singing it for like hours at a time at like full volume. And the other guys are next to him. They're like, "Shut up!" It's great fun.
Crazy.
Great fun. But
I started doing like 3 games for the VZ. I still haven't decided which. Maybe I'll stick with the last one with the army characters and stuff.
I like the last one you showed me with ladders and
Tanks.
tanks and stuff. That was pretty cool.
You're welcome.
That looks pretty good.
Hopefully. And then I just got contacted by the guy who I helped write the engine with, and he's working on a Pac-Man clone.
Yeah.
I said you should use the ones that I've got in my Twitch stream now with the ghosts going around. You can copy that. Should look pretty good.
You call it Hackman.
Yeah. Waka waka waka.
No,
Oh, wait,
that's
that was
Fozzie. Waka waka waka. Yeah, you got crossbreed the Muppets with Pac-Man.
Yeah. Muppet Man.
Muppet Man.
Fuzz Man.
Packets.
We should probably help.
You could cross. You could call them packets.
Packets. Yeah.
Pac-Man versus Muppets and packets. Don't know.
We should
Don't
take those
ask.
people scrolling across the. Wait.
Don't ask. It's there. Hang on. Let me restart it. See this modern technology that we've got to work with.
What even is call tech support?
And go. No,
There we go.
it is there. You know what the problem is?
Yeah.
Your everything on your
covering it.
stream is covering it all. Well, I can't. Where's my? Oh, great. While I'm trying to find my everything again, can you read them out? I just literally shut every window on my. Apparently, there's a minimize all command I wasn't aware of.
Oh, it's good to learn. Yeah, you can sponsor us if you like. Go to patreon.com and Aussie Tech Heads. You can sign up there. You can also send us some money on coffee, ko-fi.com/Aussie Tech Heads. And we'll even take PayPal or anything like that, whatever you got. Bouncing yellow skulls and things like this like us, apparently.
Yep, that's it. And so if there's people doing PayPal, there's people doing direct deposit, there's people sending hate mail. Whatever you want to do is fine. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we'll take it all.
Yeah, I'm not fussy. It can all be used for something.
Yeah.
Guess what
Maybe
the hate mail
Glenn.
gets used for. So, but yeah, I don't know. That was weird. Apparently, I have a minimize all windows shortcut key set up that I wasn't aware of. I think it's an OBE, an OBS shortcut because OBS was active. It enabled the shortcut.
We did it.
So remember not to do that again.
Yeah. Should we get into some news?
I suppose we can give it a go.
Potential Australian registrants will be able to license shorter domain names ending with .au from March 24 next year, following a multi-year process with public consultation and an independent policy review. Affilius, which has been appointed to manage .au registry operations, today announced the launch date, saying the new direct namespace brings Australia in line with other countries such as New Zealand with .nz, UK.uk, and US.us and Canada.ca, which already have shorter country-specific codes. Having a direct or second-level namespace allows Australian individuals and organisations to license short and eye-catching domain names that are easy to type and display on mobile devices, Outer said. The new namespace is in addition to existing Australian internet ones such as .com.au, .net.au, .org.au, asn.au.id.au that Australia's domain administrator Audo manages. Example, currently we have aussietechheads.com.au, but this could be shortened to something like ath.au for the right amount of money. Or in the case of our new name, instead of blueoceanwebhosting.com.au, we could be bo.au.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that a good idea?
that was
BO?
Yeah, I mean that was always the issue with the .com.au. You had to be, well, in theory, you had to be a registered company to have it.
You had to have an RBN or an ABN at the start, and also it had to be they were so strict at the start. If you had like Fred's Hardware was the name of your company as registered name, you couldn't have freds.com.au. It had to be
Yeah.
fredshardware.com.au.
Yeah. And that was lapsed a few years ago in terms of it being super strict.
Yeah.
I
Now you can register jasonoakley.com.au.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they kind of dropped that, but I think initially it was a good idea because it made squatting not possible.
Yeah, not possible.
Which I think was part of the reason they did that.
And then there was that guy who registered au.com and then tried to get everybody to join up with their domain.au.com. He's like, I'll register everything for you. And I was like, no, that's just too confusing. People are not going to remember .au.com instead of .com.au.
I had a .au.com because why not?
Just because you can.
It wasn't bad, actually. It wasn't.
It was Mr. Tompkinson.
Where was that? I think it was. No, I think it was back when I was working at Magic Computers. MagicComputers.au.com.
Yep.
Back in the forever ago. Back when the internet still had animated GIFs and they were amazing.
Wow. And that contact us with the letter that zips into the letterbox.
Yeah. And the under construction with the little dude and his pick.
Yeah. Weren't they the days?
I had a lot of under construction pages. I think it was
and they still are.
Yeah. They're on they were on GeoCities somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on UCities.
But yeah, look, I think this is good. I kind of I'm gonna, as soon as it comes available, I got 2 or 3 that I'm gonna register. But you watch the first day you won't be able to get on.
And they'll be hideously expensive.
Yeah, that's the other. They haven't released pricing yet, have they?
They haven't said what prices, but they probably do something like 20 grand for simple ones until everybody's got theirs, and then they'll start opening it up.
I still think they should do something similar. Whereas if you've got proof of ownership of that business, you should get priority.
And then the question is, if someone's got spiderinternet.com.au and someone's got spiderinternet.net.au, who gets the new one, spider.au?
Well, I think if they are a legit company that already has them, like if they're an AU company, you know what I mean? Like, there's not too many. There's not too many in that are that sort of straight cut. Like, we've got batteries. So it gets confusing with us because they originally, back when the thing started years ago, they registered Battery Central.
Yep.
And then once they split up and one opened a Brisbane store, they got their Battery Central Brisbane website.
Yep.
So then you had Battery Central Brisbane, then we've got the Battery Central Ipswich website.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, the guy who's got the Battery Central website doesn't trade under Battery Central anymore.
Oh.
But he's kept the website. And it's like, come on,
give it up.
That's not fair. We actually have the Battery Central registered business name.
Yeah.
But
he just has to keep renewing it and he'll keep it forever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like one of my old domains I let expire, and I put it on a notification list every year just to see if it's going to unexpire, and I thought maybe I'll get it. I don't know whether it's going to be worth the money, but every year it's getting automatically paid for by whoever has it, and I think they're just redirecting for advertising or something just so they can get some clicks, but it's not that exciting a domain name anyway.
No.
And it because it existed before, they're just like, yeah, we'll keep that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm keeping. That's the only reason I keep re-registering, WilliamTompkinson.com.
Yeah.
It's pure, not that I use it, and I think actually it should if Glenn's set up properly, which it should be redirecting to Battery Central, but I
can buy my old one for $2,195 US. There you go.
So it's not so much that I use it, it's just that I don't want somebody else to have it.
Yeah.
It's not even a, what do they call it? What do they call it when you keep, you Google your own name and stuff? Vanity search? It's not so much for a vanity search, it's just literally so that it makes it harder for somebody else to use it for spam. Yeah. It's the same reason, like we have the Battery Central Ipswich Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and this and TikTok and that and something else. It's not that we use them. Admittedly, I probably should start using some of those profiles.
Yeah, do some TikToks where you're dancing in the
But-
shower and stuff.
But it's more the fact that if we have them, we know that somebody else doesn't have them.
Yeah.
You know. And that's what happened to...
That's the cyber squatting we were talking about before.
Yeah. And that's what happened to Aussie Tech Heads on... Was it Facebook? Somebody else come up with... We've got to have Aussie... Instagram.com/Aussie Tech Heads on IG, because... Aussie Tech Heads is taken by someone who's not Australian or a tech head. So
they just took it because they knew.
Yeah.
It was like I was releasing my VZ games on bluebilby.com, and somebody shortly after I started doing that registered Blue Bilby as a Twitter name, and just happened to come up with that a few months after I registered the domain and started putting software on there. Just randomly happened to pick exactly the same name as a Blue Bilby. I mean, what are the odds? But they still keep on posting every now and then to it. Even these, they didn't for the 6 years. They didn't post anything, and now they post occasionally on there. But I just went Blue Bilby apps. That works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes it's nuts too. Like we've got, Maxon Batteries is a big battery distributor that I was originally helped set up, and then we use this Panther thing for the logo.
Yep.
And out of the blue, a couple of months ago, some random Italian or French company contacted us and says we need to change they want us to change our branding because they're called Maxon Electronics Specialist in this industry proprietary limited with a black elephant as their logo, and it's so close that people are going to get confused, so we need to change ours.
Cats and elephants, they look the same.
No, I don't think we will. You're quite welcome to change yours, however.
Yeah.
No, we demand, our lawyers, our big lawyers who are paying lots of money demand that you change. So we'll tell you what, come and see us. Come pay us a visit, and then we'll worry about it.
Yeah. Let's have a little chat, shall we?
It's just like, seriously, go away. Just because. Well,
Apple got upset at Woolworths when they brought out the new W Apple logo over here.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because
about
it's like, well, it looks like an apple. You're like, yes, lots of things that are Apple look like apples.
Yeah,
and you don't own the exclusive. You own the rights to that one where it's got the apple that's got a bite out of it in one leaf.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't own all of the Apple logos that are ever going to be made for anybody.
No. What?
Crazy, right? You're like, it's a food company. It's got fresh food, so they put an apple in their logo. No. We own all the apples.
Surprised that. Well, but I mean, that's what happens with bloody Toys R Us.
Yep.
Suddenly then, animals are us and kids are us and
everything's are us.
Rugs are us, and they sued them all out of existence.
Yeah.
It's like, but you don't own any of those things.
You don't own the right to own everything that says R us.
It's like Ugg boots. It's a slang. You can't copyright the name because you want it. Just because you're an American company that uses it doesn't mean that you. In America, you probably can, but not here. It's a colloquial word. You can't register it. No, I don't know. It's just messed up. So, and see, this other thing, like you were saying, getting the .aus. I mean, it started originally, it was just .com.au, then it became there's a .net.au, then there was ID.au, then there was... So, yeah, I can see how it's going to get confusing when it just goes to .au. It'd be interesting to see how much people are willing to pay for...
Yeah.
How
much?
And how many
much
squatters?
interest there is.
But you know what's going to happen? It's going to be all the big marketing companies and the domain
the
companies are
EU.
going to get in there straight away and just do a bulk buy on 10,000 names straight up.
Yeah,
That's what they're going to do. That's what they normally do.
guaranteed. Got to protect my brand and all the others.
Got to protect your brand for you so that you don't have to. That's YouTube's excuse.
How nice.
That's like that. You used the song, and that 3 seconds of that song was claimed by this company to protect it for the person who owns it because they didn't know that you did it, but this other company did. So they're putting a copyright strike on it for you so that you can pay them, so that the original person doesn't know that you've still done it.
Yeah.
Huh?
So it's how you hear these things where somebody gets sued for some kind of music or something, and it's just hit some little person who isn't making a ton of money out of it or anything, and eventually word gets back to the band who created the song. They're like, we didn't know any of that was happening. We're happy for you to use our song in that way, or your remix or change of it. We think that's fantastic. You're a little person just starting out and you've got a couple of followers. Good on you. We told our lawyers to stop harassing you, but it's always jump on them first and attack, and then later say, oh, well, I guess they might have been sorry and they might have not wanted us to do that, but we're just protecting them.
A lot of the problem comes about with companies like CD Baby, for example.
Yep.
So their excuse is that they protect the rights of the music holders, even though the music holders have no contract with them and no obligation to them at all. And I've had songs where I have written permission from the authors who wrote the song. I have written permission to use the song.
Yep.
And then CD Baby comes along and puts a copyright strike on it, and I send them the copy of the written permission. They go, yeah, but you didn't pass it through us first. So, but you have nothing to do with this band. They don't know you. You are in no way affiliated with them. Yep. There's nothing to do with them. Therefore, your voice is irrelevant. Then YouTube goes, no, I think they're right. You need to pay them money. It's like, no. That's not how this works.
One of our old podcasts was it I think it might have been the Minecraft one where I had music at the start of it, and then I got a copyright strike against it, and I said, no, this was public domain on the public domain website. Here's the website. It's still public domain. Oh, the guy who wrote it decided he wanted to release it on an album, so he doesn't want a public domain anymore. I'm like, it was already public domain. You can't retroactively change it and then suddenly hit me with this takedown notice because his guy's changed his mind. We can't change something. That music has been on our videos from last year. I'm not going to go back and delete all the videos from last year because this guy decided he wanted to make some money out of it. Either public domain or it's not. You can't retroactively change it.
That was it. That was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, so dumb. But we had that one, and I got it with, I had it with Talkback Tech, because I had a friend of mine write music for Talkback Tech, for Android Podcast, for a couple of them.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they tried to tell me that they own the music. I'm like,
didn't someone try and do it for the our Minecraft podcast background music that we just had going throughout the whole show? And I said, no, I actually had a friend of mine over in America wrote it himself. Yeah. Nobody is claiming copyright on this. He's certainly not, because he wrote it for me. Who's just coming up with this takedown for no reason?
Yeah.
Let's just take down all the things that might have a little bit of music in them.
Yeah. That's it. It's just so dumb. Yeah, that one. So apparently that was brand music written specifically for us.
Yeah.
Provided free by Jeff Burchett and freestockmusic.com.
Yeah.
But no, not good enough for Facebook. For YouTube. For what are we talking about? One of those giant conglomerates.
Yeah.
Speaking of giant conglomerates.
No, I'm not. You take that back.
You're a giant conglomerate. So that dude at Hotel Transylvania, the big green blobby guy.
Yeah.
He's a giant conglomerate. MasterCard.
Oh,
So apparently, okay, here's something I didn't realise, that we're one of the few countries, and we're one of the first countries to do PayWave.
yeah.
We pretty much led the way with PayWave.
America only just stopped using the swipe like last year or something.
Yeah, and the insert thing's only catching up in some countries.
They still don't trust it.
No,
Oh, someone's going to steal all your money if they could just walk past, or they'll take your card and go everywhere and spend $100 everywhere.
because they don't know how it works. But
You know, it's insured.
but it's not even that. Like the chip technology, so we sort of went from the swipe to the chip to the PayWave, and a lot of the countries haven't even hit the chip yet, let alone the PayWave. They're still at the chip.
Yeah.
But weirdly, we were one of the first countries to adopt that, which is bizarre. But anyway, MasterCard.
People spend all their money faster and easier.
Yeah,
But you want me to spend all your money?
that's it. MasterCard says they're getting rid of the magnetic strip
Oh,
by 2033, which is a while. But it's interesting that, and I was thinking about it the other day, I'm like, yeah, okay. I've only ever used it 2 or 3 times in the last 10 years when the swipe hasn't worked and then the chip hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Or the touch hasn't worked and the chip hasn't worked. Then last case scenario, you go to the swipe through the card reader, but it almost never works anymore because the card readers are so full of garbage because they haven't been used in forever.
yeah.
That they don't work anyway. Unless somebody's got like an old bank card. Most of the old bank cards are still swipe. You'll notice if they've got like an old Bendigo Bank or Suncorp or something like that, they don't have the chip or the touch. Most of those are still swipe. But yeah, you don't get it that often. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You can get rid of that. I don't really see that being a problem.
That'll be one less feature for the Samsung phone because it mimics the magnetic strip.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been around since the 60s, so it's not
Time to go.
not exactly new technology, but it's just interesting that they've sort of picked that. But it's, and that's the other thing too. By 33, you got to admit that's 11 years away, 12 years away. I don't even know if cards will be a thing. I mean, as it is now, most of my cards are on my phone.
Yep.
And they get triggered by my
watch.
or phone, or use the app itself to do stuff. Like ZipPay, for example, or Afterpay. They just you bring the app up and you just put in or tell them your vendor code on your phone and they put that in and it automatically does. There's even no physical interaction between devices.
Oh, okay.
You bring up the app and it says install payment. You bring that up, they bring up the merchant screen and it says install payment, give me your merchant number. They give you the merchant number, it sends them a confirmation, you press accept, done.
That's it.
Like, so you can do it over the phone, like there's no physical interaction required. So I'm sort of thinking that by 2033 I don't even honestly expect to be having a card.
No.
It's that's why I found more fascinating about the story. It's not the fact they're getting rid of the magnetic strip. It's the fact they're still expecting people to be using cards.
Yeah. I wouldn't even carry around my driver's license anymore because you've got the Service New South Wales app stores your license in there. But the problem is you go to somewhere like the RSL
and there's no signal.
Can you put your driver's license? They put it through a machine that scans it and reads out your name, address, date of birth, and everything automatically and stores it in the machine. They're like, "Thank you, Jason. Off you go, and you don't have to sign anything or do it." How are you going to put my phone in that machine to scan it like the card? It's not going to work.
That's the other thing too. Like I have my Super Cheap and my Bunnings trade card and stuff on my phone.
Yep.
I still carry the cards with me in the car because I've had situations where the barcode scanners won't read the screen of your phone.
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously something that needs to be worked on. But yeah, I'd be very surprised if we have any physical cards at all in the next 5 or 6 years, let alone 11 years.
That'll be good because I just bought a new wallet and I have to make sure it's got like 10 to 12 different places to slot all the cards in and have this big bulky thing carrying around just because you have to.
See, I don't. I've got one of those not the brand name Ridge wallet, but one of the things like those Ridge wallets.
Yep.
Which is just the expanding. They're basically a carbon fiber plate on both sides with elastic in the middle, so they just expand depending on how many cards you put in them. I think they're great because you can put 2 cards or you can put 20 cards in them. They don't care.
Same size.
They just change. They just get thicker depending on how many cards you want to put in them.
Yep.
I like those. They're great. I mean, I haven't carried an actual wallet in 20 years.
Yeah. Where do you put your shrapnel?
I don't. Well, why is that a thing? It goes in my pocket. Then when I get in the car, it goes in the shrapnel holder.
Yeah.
Which used to be called an ashtray, but it's a shrapnel.
All the cars have got shrapnel holders now.
And then I let Bub. He goes. He cleans the car out, and he thinks it's great because he cleans the car out, and he goes, "Oh, I found coins." There's like $1 in. Yeah, you can have those for cleaning the car out. There you go.
Reminds me of like Homer Simpson when he dropped off his car to get service, and he's like, "I'm counting the pennies in the ashtray. There's 2."
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you go taking 2 pennies from me.
And notes. I mean, I'm not one for a cashless society by any means, but I just find myself never having cash.
Yeah,
it's not.
I not use cash. If I could use more places for crypto and cards, then with the built-in apps where you can put your card into your phone and watch and stuff, then I wouldn't carry anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a place for cash, and certainly.
Like our noodle shop down here, cash only.
Yeah, most bakeries and stuff. If I'm doing small transactions, I much prefer to do them in cash because as somebody who has to pay merchant fees, merchant fees on a small transaction eat into the transaction. Like you might as well not even do it sometimes. Right. So I prefer, your bakery, your mum and dad's small stores where you're spending anything under $50. I try and pay by cash because you sometimes can pay as much as 2% on a transaction. So if you've got a $5 item, it's usually like 2% or 30 cents, whatever's greater.
Yeah.
So if you've got a $5 item, you've just cost them 30 cents to make a card transaction on a $5 item that they're probably only making 50 cents on to start with.
Get a bunch of those a day.
So, it's hard in that regard. So I do try to carry cash for those sort of things, and for obviously, Facebook Marketplace and whatever. But I'm not anti cash by any means, but I just find myself. I always try and keep like $20 in the car just as an emergency, stash. I know if I need it, there's $20 in the car. Yep. If something goes pear shaped and I lost my wallet or whatever, at least I'm not completely broke. But yeah, I find I haven't had a wallet where I've had coins and cash in it for so long. It's kind of a weird sensation. The first thing I want to do is get it out of my pocket when I have it in there.
The main times that I have cash is when I go out somewhere for lunch with mum and or dad, and I pay for everything, and then dad pays me back in cash every time because he doesn't have any other way that he knows that he can give me money.
Yep.
What even is bank transfer or PayPal or I don't understand. There you go.
Yeah.
Take that. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this? And I've got to find some way that I'm going to have to spend it.
Well, it's funny. My mother-in-law used to do it all the time. We'd go shopping and we'd go to the butcher and buy a couple $100 worth of meat, and she'd buy, $50 of it or whatever. And we get home and she'd go, "Oh, I'll come around tomorrow and I'll bring some cash around and fix you up for it." I was like, but now she's like, my bank details, you just transfer it across.
Take what you want.
So it's funny. It's funny how things change. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, on the birthdays, you'd always get cash in the letterbox. Yep. A card had come with cash in it. You get, $5 from grandma and $10 from
I was still doing that till last year for my nephews, but now I just PayPal to their dad and say you can give it to them.
That's to say, it's so much now that gets like most kids have a bank account now. Yep. Even if it's like Cam's got a savings account that we've got a big jar thing every year. We fill it up and we go and dump it in the Westpac auto counter and let it count it. Then it goes into his bank account. like his sort of savings.
Yeah.
And most kids now have a bank account, and you just go, you don't. Here's $20, and be done with it. So it's funny.
Intel is branding its upcoming consumer GPUs as Intel Arc. This new Arc brand will cover both the hardware and software powering Intel's high-end discrete GPUs, as well as multiple hardware generations. The first of those, known previously as DG2, is expected to arrive in the form of codename Alchemist in Q1 2022. Intel's Arc-based Alchemist GPUs will be available in both desktops and notebooks in early 22, with Intel seemingly aiming to compete against both an AMD and NVIDIA here. While we still don't know much about the performance of the first Alchemist GPUs, Intel published a teaser video that showed prototype silicon powering PUBG, Psychonauts 2, Metro, Exodus, and more. Intel's Arc GPUs will be capable of mesh shading, variable rate shading, video upscaling, and real-time ray tracing. Most importantly, Intel is promising AI-accelerated supersampling, which sounds like Intel has its own competitor to NVIDIA's Deep Learning Supersampling, or DLSS, technology. AMD launched its own Fidelity FX Super Resolution answer to DLSS in June, but it's only using a spatial upscaling technique rather than AI-based temporal upscaling. The aim of all these technologies is to upscale games from a lower resolution to provide smoother frame rates without noticeable compromise in image quality. Launch of the Intel Arc brand and the reveal of future hardware generation signifies Intel's deep and continued commitment to gamers and creators everywhere. We have teams doing incredible work to ensure we deliver first-class and frictionless experiences when those products are available early next year, said their GPU business head. Intel is only teasing the brand of its Arc GPUs today and revealing that Battle Mage, Celestial, and Druid are all code names for its future generations of Arc GPUs. More details and specifics are planned for later in 2021. So far, Intel has launched its first Iris Xe graphics card, codenamed DG1, that uses the company's XeLP architecture. These low-power cards are mainly designed for pre-built workstations instead of dedicated gaming rigs. Intel's upcoming Arc GPUs will be based on the company's XeHPG microarchitecture, which is a combination of the work Intel has been putting into its XeLP, HP, and HPC microarchitectures. Don't expect you'll be mining any Bitcoin with those, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter who's releasing cards at the moment. Nobody can make them.
No.
So that's kind of irrelevant.
That's probably why they're talking about 2022 sometime.
Yeah.
We might have something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I think AMD's just had such a head start in cards for so long that it's sort of.
I think this would probably be good for like businesses that just want a desktop to put Windows on and do your counting and WordPress or WordPerfect.
Oh, I mean,
when was the last time anyone used WordPerfect? Jeez, I'm old today.
I'm sure. You know, they'll play games perfectly fine. Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm sure they'll play most of the medium to low end games perfectly fine. They're going to struggle with the upper ones, but not necessarily the card's fault. The architecture and the infrastructure isn't there to back the card up. It's like when we had OpenGL versus what was it? OpenGL versus DirectX. There was a massive chasm there for a few years where they'll, you know, it was either one or the other. A game would never very rarely support both. It would support OpenGL or it would support DirectX. And you had to make a choice. Do I buy a card that supports OpenGL or do I buy a card that supports DirectX?
Yeah.
Do I get my Trident Turbo 3D or do I get my Voodoo 2? You know, like... and it took that 10 years to settle down. And in the end they went, why don't we just support everything?
Yeah.
And they did, and then half of the card manufacturers went away. And they...
So now you got AMD and NVIDIA and Intel and that's it.
Well, and Intel realistically is only classified as like your on-board, entry-level stuff anyway, so that doesn't really count. But then, then you had your NVIDIA and you had your AMD and you had... the only real issue, then you had other issues since, because Linux has grown in popularity since then, and you had better driver support with one format than you did with the other format,
Yeah, for AMD, because NVIDIA wouldn't release the specs
open source drivers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we going to go back to that? Yeah, this is the issue. It's not so much they could release the best hardware in the world, but if you've got nothing that's going to support that hardware, then what?
Yeah, you have to make your hardware support everything that everybody else does.
Yeah, and you can't because they don't open source, as you said. NVIDIA won't open source their driver base or their architecture for their hardware. So you can't make it support that, which means, okay, you can make it support the AMD, but if you're supporting AMD, which has already got the cheapest and the most expensive card and everything in between on the market already that covers that range, you don't really have anywhere to go. You can't improve on something that's already doing the job it's designed to do. So what's the gap you're trying to fill in the market? You know? I guess they could replace their 20-year-old onboard HD, you know, and make this so when you get a laptop, for example, that's got onboard and discrete, you actually have a decent onboard chip, I guess. And yeah, I mean, as you said, like the NUCs and the little workstations and the things like that would be handy to have a decent processor so they could handle.
Maybe go in your Pi.
No, what does it use? No, it uses. I can't remember what it uses. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Just see where it goes. I mean, it'll be interesting. There are some. I can think of some things where it'd be handy where you want reasonable video memory. You don't necessarily need insane performance. You know, like you're doing portable billboards and multimedia billboards and multimedia applications, things like that, where it's not driving the cards hard, but they are doing, you know, a fair bit of work. So
it's always good to have another competitor. Maybe some prices will go down a bit.
It's hard to say because, I mean, Intel's by default a more expensive chip in everything they do. It's just the way it's always been. So is it going to be, you know... That's why I'm just trying to figure out where they're going to fit in the market. They can't really make a cheaper chip because that's not what Intel does.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to be dearer because that's just who they are. They're like the Apple of the chip world. They'd have to be dearer just because they're Intel.
Right.
But they'd have to offer something that you can't get with a competitor. I don't know what that would be.
No.
Always, I don't know what that'd be, but yeah, that's going to be their only leg up. Is they're going to have to have a better card for the same sort for what I can guarantee you they're going to be dearer cards. I don't know. We'll see what happens in 12 months' time. Put a pin in that story and come back to it and see if it comes to fruition.
Yep.
I mean, then again, if they do have a big market in servers and shared hardware and stuff like that. I can see a situation where you're sharing like a workstation, like you might have a powerhouse server and you've got a dozen workstations in the office all sharing that server load. I can see where a high-powered dedicated graphics card that's designed for that situation would be handy.
Yeah.
You know, it means everybody could have a 2 gig graphics card in their workstation. So, yeah, I mean, something like that might be great.
Yeah.
We'll see. We shall see. Speaking of expensive, the subsea cable might have got a little bit of damage to it.
Oh.
I mean, it might have been cut in half. A little bit cut in half.
A little bit lots.
The Australian Federal Police investigates the subsea cable at Perth was cut. Now, the way this is written, apparently it cut off Perth. I don't think that's what they meant. I think they meant the
Can we do that? I didn't know that was an option.
I think they meant the cable was cut.
How about the whole of Western
off
Australia?
Perth, off the shore of Perth, the cable got cut. But the way it's written, it sounds like the cable cut off Perth. But, subsea fibre operated by Vocus was severed inside Perth's cable protection zone earlier this month. August 1st, about 18 k's from Perth's landing station. It puts it well inside the Perth protection zone, which stretches 112 k's off Perth City Beach. Basically, it means container ships and things like that aren't supposed to put anchors down to protect the seafloor, basically. So you get the same thing at Barrier Reef. It's common. Declared by the Australian Communications and Media Authority, protection zone restricts certain activities. As I said, damaging a cable, undertaking restricted activities inside one of those zones is a criminal offence that carries fines of up to $133,200. That's a very specific amount. And a 10-year jail term or both. Hang on. Carries fines of up to $133,000, $200, and a 10-year jail term or both.
There you go. What?
Huh? It's like that story I was reading earlier today about the guy who died of. Did you? I shouldn't laugh because the guy died of COVID, but the way the story was written was just. Experts said that. See if I can find it. Here we go. Fully vaccinated man dies of COVID. Doctors claim the result could have been different. No, the doctors claim the result could have been worse if he didn't have the vaccine.
Worse than death.
Huh?
It's a fate worse than death now that it finally makes sense, that phrase.
But anyway. So far they declined to publicise the potential cause of the break. Root cause identification will happen alongside repair works. Vocus will provide a more accurate assessment and update as time goes on. They've previously reported breakages as ship dragging anchors across the cable happens specifically in storms when the ship just has no... I mean, if you're outside of the protection zone and the storm drags you in it with your anchors down, there's not much... I mean, that's not, not your fault. Anchoring in cable protected zones is permitted only under limited number of circumstances. So basically, they're saying repairs are underway, and they're expecting it will be end of the end of the month before they're expecting it to be fully repaired. So if you're over in Western Australia or you're trying to get data over to Western Australia and it's slow, that's probably why your already maxed out cable is hanging in with a wing and a prayer at the moment. So that must be a hell of a thing. I don't know if you've ever had the joy of repairing optic cable.
Nope.
Doing single strands of optic cable is horrendous enough on land where you have access to everything you need at your fingertips, and trying to repair that stuff underwater just has to be absolutely painful.
Yeah.
It's bad enough I've had to repair like normal single strand, like NBN single strand cable.
Yep.
I was on a team that got called out to the Gold Coast one year to do a backhoe would dug up the trunk line right underneath the whether the next day what do they call it? What were the green? No, that big rock, the big rock Stedford thing they have there.
Yeah.
Day on the green or something?
Spender on the grass.
Yeah, one of those. One of those stay off the grass things. The backhoe putting in a water line or something managed to dig up the trunk cable for the for half of the Gold Coast that night before this was about to start. And I remember I got called out. I didn't bother going because there was no point. I already knew there was about 40 crews heading out there at 2 o'clock in the morning at, $20,000 a head for 4 hours or something, and there was so many people turned up to do that. I don't know what the trunk line was. I can't remember what it was. 2,000 cables or something.
Yep.
And that was fun.
How do that underwater?
Yeah, and do that underwater, basically. That's what I was getting at. Like, it's bad enough trying to repair that on land.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy. The Manatee Energy Storage Centre, the world's largest solar-powered battery storage facility, is now 75% finished, with 100 of 132 total containers already installed, reveals a press release from Florida Power and Light Company. The battery is housed in Manatee County, as the name indicates, and expected to be fully operational by the end of the year. When completed, the system will have a 409 megawatt capacity with the ability to deliver 900 megawatt hours of energy. There's enough electricity to power 329,000 homes for more than 2 hours. With one milestone after another, FPL is following through with a steadfast commitment to make Florida a leader in sustainability and resiliency as we consistently deliver America's best energy value, electricity that's not just clean and reliable, but is also affordable. The battery will serve to replace FPL's coal plant. In June, we said goodbye to coal by dismantling FPL's last coal plant in Florida, just as we surpassed 40% of the way toward completing our 30 by 30 plan to install 30 million solar panels by 2030. Soon, the world's largest solar-powered battery will begin serving customers, and we'll turn our attention to innovative green hydrogen pilot project, which could unlock the potential for a 100% carbon-free energy future. The battery will store energy in order to bring electricity to homes even when the sun's not shining at night and on cloudy days, meaning other more polluting power sources will not be required. Although customers are bound to see some financial benefits after the main gains will be environmental. According to FPL, each battery module is capable of storing an amount of solar energy equivalent to roughly 2,000 iPhone batteries. The complete battery system will be equivalent to 100 million iPhone batteries, and energy storage containers will be organized across a 40-acre plot of land, the equivalent of 30 football fields, and the battery will have a lifespan of 40 years. With more than 12 million solar panels installed and more than 40 solar energy centers in operation, FPL is building on its rapid solar expansion with the world's largest solar-powered battery, said FPL Vice President. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. FPL is implementing innovative battery storage projects across the state, transforming Florida's transportation landscape with more than 1,000 EV chargers and partnering with universities and municipalities on battery systems that leverage cutting-edge microgrid technology. It would be great if we could do something like that in Australia, but just not possible in our country.
Look, there's still, you can't get rid of, you can't rely purely on solar. It's not a guaranteed solution. You can't, if you get a week's worth of storms, you can't store that sort of power. You need to have 2 or 3, whether you have hydro, geothermal, wave technology, wind turbines, solar. Like, you need to have a whole amalgamation of things, not just one.
Must be why they're looking at hydrogen as well.
One thing they say, oh, we're getting rid of coal fire. It's like, okay, fine, but the thing with a coal fire power station, very few of them actually burnt coal. Most of them burnt waste and stuff. But that was a single point of failure, but it was a very, very rare chance of failure. You can't say, here's a 20,000 megawatt coal fire power station, here's a 20,000 megawatt solar farm. It might be a 20,000 megawatt solar farm for 2 hours a day, and then it's an 18,000 megawatt solar farm for 2 hours a day, and then it's 16,000, and then it's a 14,000, and then it's a 10,000, and then it's 0 for 14 hours a day because there's no sun. Yeah. So they get all wrapped up in numbers, but the numbers are kind of irrelevant because you can't directly compare the technologies. And having batteries is fine and dandy, but you need a way to charge those batteries. So if you're using, let's say you put a 20,000 megawatt solar farm in, your district's using 18,000 megawatts on a regular basis. Yep. Well, you're only putting 2,000 megawatts of the difference back into the battery pack, which won't even run the town overnight, let alone for 2 or 3 days of bad weather. So suddenly you had a 20,000 watt power station that was handling the load perfectly fine. You need a 100,000 megawatt solar farm to do the same job.
Yeah.
But they don't do that. They put a 20,000 watt solar farm in where they had a 20,000 watt coal fire plant. They don't sort of, and then they wonder why they run out of power.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm not for alternative energies and stuff, but you just got to think. You got to be aware of limitations of alternate energy sources. The difference is we're inadvertently aware, whether it's nuclear, whether it's coal, whether it's whatever we're currently using, we are aware of those limitations by virtue of the fact that we've been using it for 50 years. Whereas the new technologies, we're so used to thinking about them in power in a certain way that you forget that the limitation changes because the technology's changed.
Yep. And
then you wonder why you get caught out. So, and it's not to say it can't be done. It absolutely can be done, and there are countries who have gone 100% renewable, and there's actually some countries that pay you in the middle of the day to use power because they're generating so much power, and they can't store anymore. They want people to actually use power during peak production.
Yeah.
So they actually literally pay you, and these are countries like Iceland and Germany where EVs are massive. And everybody charges their EVs in the middle of the day where they're getting paid to charge their car.
Sounds like a great idea.
You know. So. JB Hi-Fi. Yes, okay, they just turned a $506 million a year profit. But they have all these unsellable handsets. So they've got either warranty returned or open returned or floor stock or loaners, DeX displays, demo units, employee phones, all this sort of stuff they're ending up with all these handsets at 7,500 unsellable handsets that they basically just leave them in storage because there's nothing they can do with them, you know. But they've figured out that they can give them a second life.
Oh.
They've disclosed the program as part of their ongoing circular economy initiative, which basically means they're cutting down how much money they're spending. They've also previously dealt with and continue to deal with handling of e-waste. Sustainability report released to coincide with financial year 21 results. JB Hi-Fi said Central Warehouse operates a process to refurbish and reuse within our business unsellable mobile phones that have been returned by customers, ex-display, etc. Approximately 7,500 phones were given a second life and reused throughout different areas. The process involves creating a circular economy within our business operations for unsellable mobile phones, demo displays, blah, 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 thus ending the useful life of each phone prior to it being salvaged and recycled. Said it removed and wiped all personal data from the returned devices before repurposing them for personal use for staff. So basically, yeah, when you work at JB, you get given a free phone now, pretty much.
Nice. You wouldn't complain, even if it is refurbished or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever. One thing they do. I was at a JB, and they unloaded this container off the back of a truck. That's interesting. What's in that? And I couldn't help myself, and I went over and had a look. It wasn't a container. Those 1,000-litre water tote things.
Yep.
They had 4 or 5 of those with the tops cut out of them, and they're all full of clear devices.
Oh.
Now straight away I knew that they're ex-prison because all the prisons use clear cases so that they can see if you're hiding, hiding contraband inside the cases. So I knew what it was straight away. But I just thought it was interesting that what surprised me was that it had an end of life. Like after a couple of years of this, and they're only 2 or 3 years old, a lot of this stuff. They basically chucked them into a skip. And so if a prisoner got released, for example, they would ditch the stuff. They wouldn't clean it and reuse it and give it to the next person. They just would throw it. They'd just chuck it out. If stuff got broken in brawls or fights, it'd get thrown out and replaced. If stuff just wore out, it'd get thrown out and replaced. Like nothing got repaired, nothing got fixed, nothing got anything like that. But you can see all their stuff is clear. It's all clear case. So the TVs, even their iPads, distribution boxes, radios, it's all clear case stuff. So it was really obvious that it all come from the prison.
Wow.
But yeah, there was TVs and VCRs and PlayStations and Xboxes and computers and all sorts of stuff just chucked in these skips. And I said,
It's the kind of thing the average Joe doesn't even think about.
no. I said to him, so hey, can I and okay, some of them are like volume limited, for example. So they might change on the TV sets. They might change out the put really tiny speakers in them so that they can only be like you almost have to sit on top of them to hear them.
Yep.
So you can't disturb your neighbours. Same with the radios and things like that. But yeah, and I said, look, can I grab one, take one home? They're obviously going to get just scrapped anyway because for whatever reason.
Yep.
And they're like, no, these have all got to go for secure destruction.
Oh.
I'm like, well, that's rude. Like, just throwing the stuff out because you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that's rather annoying. But stuff like that, like there's absolutely no reason why the tape players or the radios, the monitors, the TVs. There's probably some stuff you don't want to obviously share with prisoners, but a lot of the stuff that works perfectly fine, just because the prisoner's no longer at that prison, or they've just upgraded some of the tech and they're getting rid of the old stuff. There's no reason why it couldn't go to schools or to somewhere else. Surely.
Yeah, you think so?
Even if it goes to universities for dismantling for electronics classes and high schools but no, it all just got chucked out.
Crunch it up.
The really cool part is actually you can go to places like Alibaba and you can buy all this clear case stuff like brand new. Like
right.
They sell it. You can actually go and buy like a brand new DVD screen to watch your DVDs on. That's the clear case. It's the same one they sell at the prisons. But they'll sell it to the public as well. For whatever it is, $49 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it's not bad.
But I can imagine, imagine selling those clear case TV screens to like a nightclub, and then they'd just crack the case open, fill it full of LEDs, and they'd love that sort of stuff.
They would, yeah.
So I just thought that's interesting. There, on the one hand, they're bragging about how they're refurbishing all this in-house stuff, in the same breath, they basically turn around and throw out tons worth of electronics because they don't want anybody else to have it.
Yeah.
It's not
There's
like
no right to repair anywhere either.
It's not like it's sensitive information on a laptop or on a computer that's got hard drives that might contain information. It's literally dumb technology that can't hold personal information.
Yeah.
So.
The hacker who stole $600 million in tokens from a cryptocurrency platform last week was offered a security job by the platform on Tuesday. Most of this money has been returned to the Poly network, but more than $200 million in assets remains locked in an account controlled by the hacker, whom the crypto platform refers to as a Mr. White Hat. As a condition of releasing the remaining funds, the hacker has called for security improvements in the Poly network program platform. In a post on Medium, the network noted it has been in contact with Mr. White Hat on a daily basis, keeping the hacker informed about the platform's ongoing efforts to improve its security. We've made constant efforts to establish an understanding with Mr. White Hat and genuinely hope Mr. White Hat will transfer the private keys as soon as possible so that we can return full access control back to the users as early as the company wrote. It also offered Mr. White Hat a job. To extend our thanks and encourage Mr. White Hat to continue contributing to security advancement in the blockchain world, together with Poly Network, we cordially invite him to be the chief security advisor of the Poly Network, the company wrote. In addition to a job, the Poly network has offered him a $500,000 bounty for exposing the flaw in its software that allowed $600 million to bleed from its coffers. The hacker initially refused to accept the bounty, but later stated the money should be given to the technical community who have made contributions to blockchain security. Blockchain is the technology that's the cornerstone of cryptocurrency security. We fully respect Mr. Whitehat's thoughts, and to express our gratitude, we will still transfer this 500,000 bounty to a wallet address approved by him for him to use at his own discretion for the cause of cybersecurity and supporting more projects and individuals. Whatever he does choose to do with the bounty in the end, we have no objections. The company also iterated in its Medium piece that it had no intention of holding Mr. Whitehat legally responsible for his actions and is confident he will return full control of all assets to the Poly network. There you go. You ever see things like where people find a hole in a security system, instead of fixing it and thanking them, they chuck them in jail straight away?
Yeah, I was about to say that. I don't understand. Like, this person knows the security inside and out. Obviously, the only person who does, because they're the only person who's got in now, so far.
Yeah.
But you throw them in prison. How long do you really think it's going to take before this person who is the only one who knew the information suddenly isn't the only person who knows this information anymore? If you ask me, it's a good way to secure your job. Here, look, I can prove to you that I can own you over, so give me a job.
Yeah.
Didn't Google do that for a while? Didn't they say that if you could hack into their systems, they'd employ you to manage that thing? Was that Google? Somebody one of the bigger companies that was. They're basically saying that, yeah, we think our security is on point, but if you can get in, we'll hire you to become security advisor for that area. And
yeah, that's what happened to Paul Randall Schwartz, who helped create Perl. He, in July 1995, he was prosecuted in the state of Oregon versus Randall Schwartz, which dealt with compromised computer security during his time as system admin for Intel. In the process of performing penetration testing, he cracked a number of passwords in their system, and he was originally convicted on 3 felony counts, which one reduced to a misdemeanor, but on February 1, 2007, his arrest and conviction records were sealed through an official expungement, and he's legally no longer a felon. So if he was doing penetration testing for Intel, found passwords could be decrypted them, showed them that it could be done, and then they threw the book at him. And he was having trouble. I think he was having trouble flying on planes and stuff because they wouldn't accept him to places, and he couldn't get bookings at places to do talks or things because they're like, well, we don't want a felon here. It's like, I was employed to find security holes. I found them, showed them that, and they turned on me.
It's
dumb.
In the early days of pen testing, that was an issue because there wasn't really a job description that allowed you to break the law, which effectively is what pen testing is. You're effectively breaking laws and legislations to start with before you even start to get in the company, because you're not allowed to use public utilities to cause in malicious intent. So immediately before you even try to get into the company, just by using the fact that you're using the phone lines, you're automatically breaking the law because you have intent to cause harm. So the whole pen testing thing was new.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was doing something similar for Harvey Norman. I wasn't doing pen testing of their software, but I was physically doing their stock loss prevention and stuff like that. And it's the same sort of thing. You would basically see what the vulnerabilities are in terms of how stock goes missing and either gets stolen or just walks out of the store, or in some cases gets delivered by Harvey Norman to somebody who hasn't even purchased it. And you had to be really careful because that was technically my job, and whilst Harvey Norman's head office was aware of it, the local store wasn't, and it wasn't uncommon for people to get arrested by the police for shoplifting, and you would eventually get cleared and they'd ring the people, but it was such a process because it wasn't something that was done very often.
Yeah.
That's a lot more common now, and there's a lot more safeguards in place so that people generally get arrested a lot less. But
He's not saying zero. He's saying a lot less.
It still does happen. It happens a lot less than it used to, but it still does happen. But the principles are still the same. You know, your intent is to break the law, so you've got to have it really well done so that it's really tricky because you've got to break the law, but you've got to break the law legally.
Yeah, if that even makes sense.
So it's but yeah, it's I can see how, you know, from my point of view, if I had a company like that and security and software was my primary concern, and somebody showed me a flaw by accessing it, especially given that obviously they've tried to contact me and I've ignored them, then I'd go, no worries, come and work for me. Would you like to consult for me? You know, I'll quite happily, but even if you don't, come and fix the problem, and then I'll put you on a retainer.
Yeah,
you know, like, yeah, for the vast majority of people, they don't want to hack your company if they're doing it, there's a reason they're doing it. They either just enjoy finding holes, in which case they normally won't take anything, they'll just inform you of it, or in this case they're just there to prove a point. But it's generally not done with malicious intent. Like, very rarely, unless you're a software pirate, a software like these guys who are putting viruses on and stuff like that. That's different. But for the most part, people who just break into something just to see if they can.
Yeah,
generally,
one of my friends who has his own Linux servers all around his house because he's all into that stuff. And when he gets bored, he just spends his days trying to break into his own systems to see what can break, and then he can report it back to the people who made the software, and then they can fix it.
And it's not generally done with a malicious intent. So normally, if somebody gets into your server, into your backend, or into your software, and they go, "Hey, look, I'm here, fix the problem." Yeah, generally the best thing you can do is turn around and go, "Well, come and work for me, and you can fix it for me," because that's what they want to do. So if they're working for you, even if they're working for you, that's not going to stop them from going home overnight trying to hack into to you, even if they're working for you. The upside is that they come in the next day and go, "Hey, I found another problem." So,
and I fixed it.
Yeah. Well, I found the problem, and while I was there, I decided to fix it. Yeah. So
that's it for me. How about you?
Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do. Donkey. Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Head Show. We can be found at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, and Coffee. You can email us, Will or Warlock, at aussietechheads.com.au, and go to aussietechradio.com, 24/7 playback of the tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. See you next time.
Bye.